They just went there. These long reported rumors, which I can tell you, I believe to be true, that it was Meghan Markle, perhaps with Prince Harry, who first spread the rumors about an affair between Prince William and Rose Hanbury.
The story spread like wildfire. Newspapers hinted, blogs speculated, social media burned. And for years, no one could say where the whispers really began. Until now. According to the latest bombshell, the entire Rose Hanbury affair scandal, the rumor that nearly shattered the monarchy, may not have been initiated by the press at all, but by Meghan Markle herself. If true, this isn't just gossip. This is sabotage, a deliberate strike against William, Kate, and the entire institution of the crown.
There was a foodie, like a food critic at a Soho House event, and people saw Meghan sitting down with this guy. And that person then goes and tweets this and blows up the internet. And that guy later had to come out and say, I was drunk. I didn't mean it. I was just trying to cause trouble.
Tonight, we're pulling back the curtain on one of the most shocking theories in royal history. Was Meghan Markle the chaos agent who lit the match that set the monarchy ablaze? Stay with me, because once you hear how the pieces line up, you might never look at the Sussex saga the same way again.
Now, let me take you through a little bit of the background on this. You'll remember there was the famous tweet exchange between the then Guardian writer Hadley Freeman and Giles Corran, who was the columnist for The Times. And Giles Corran responded to Freeman saying, yes, it is an affair. I haven't read the piece, but I know about the affair. Everyone knows about the affair, darling, just as Jews, even us Jews, although admittedly I'm quite a posh Jew, if such a thing admits. Now, after coming under a storm of criticism, Giles Corran, there he is, did eventually delete the post.
Let's rewind to 2019. On the surface, all seemed perfect. The monarchy was entering a golden patch. Prince William and Kate Middleton were not just surviving the relentless scrutiny of royal life, they were thriving. The public adored them. 3 beautiful children, carefully managed appearances, and a marriage that looked like something out of a storybook. After years of scandals, divorces, and dysfunction, from Charles and Diana's tragic implosion to Prince Andrew's disgrace, William and Kate had become the monarchy's safe pair of hands. A steady ship in stormy seas. They were the institution's greatest insurance policy. But then, out of nowhere, came the whispers. The kind of whispers that slither through Fleet Street like smoke, intoxicating, impossible to ignore. Editors leaned forward. Journalists sharpened their knives. Something was happening behind palace walls, and it smelled like scandal. The story was simple but explosive. Kate had fallen out with one of her closest friends, Rose Hanbury, the Marchioness of Cholmondeley. Now, Rose wasn't just another society name. She was aristocracy personified. Married to David Rock Savage, the 7th Marquess of Cholmondeley, she presided over the palatial Houghton Hall, a sprawling estate just a stone's throw from William and Kate's country retreat, Anmer Hall. Their lives overlapped seamlessly. The children had playdates. The families hosted dinners. Rose was part of Kate's inner circle, one of the glamorous fixtures of the Norfolk set. So why the sudden break? Why the frost between two women who, until then, had been practically inseparable? The tabloids didn't dare spell it out, but the subtext was unmistakable. The whispers suggested Rose and William had grown too close, too friendly. The phrase rural rival was floated, but everyone understood what that really meant, an affair. And in Britain, where royal gossip is practically a national sport, that suggestion was all it took.
When Catherine and anyone who had any idea about what was going on, including me, were like, whoa, back off, you're all going to look utterly ludicrous and like really terrible people. But who was the person that named Rose Hanbury that actually prompted that legal action from Rose Hanbury? Stephen Colbert. Stephen Colbert, the hard left, now axed US talk show host, working for CBS, which remember, Oprah's channel, same channel that Meghan gave the interview to. Oh, Gayle King's channel too. And Harry had obviously appeared with him. So none of that is a coincidence. None of that is a coincidence.
The idea was too salacious to resist. A prince betraying his perfect princess with her friend? It was a scandal tailor-made for front pages. The palace, of course, did what it always does in the face of scandal. It went cold. Icy silence. Official denials never came, but behind the scenes, royal lawyers were deployed like soldiers. Quiet but firm warnings were issued to editors across London. Drop it, stop it, or face consequences. But here's the problem with rumors. Once they're out in the wild, they don't vanish. They grow. They mutate. They take on a life of their own. And by the time William's lawyers managed to squash the headlines, the whispers had already escaped into the digital bloodstream: Twitter, blogs, Reddit threads. Beyond the palace's reach, beyond the control of even the most powerful legal teams in Britain. The story was alive, and it was hungry. Enter Giles Coren. For those who don't know, Coren isn't just some tabloid hack. He's a sharp-tongued, well-connected columnist for The Times, the kind of journalist who thrives on being outrageous. Then there's Hadley Freeman, a witty voice at The Guardian, no stranger to stirring the pot herself. One night, on Twitter, back when it was still the world's digital rumor mill, they engage in a cheeky exchange. And then, like a grenade tossed into the gossip fire, Coren blurts it out. Yes, it's an affair. Everyone knows about the affair, darling. That one tweet, that one sentence, detonated across the internet. Coren later deleted it, but it was far too late. Screenshots were already flying, ricocheting through blogs, forums, and group chats. And coming from him, a journalist with deep connections to London's elite, it sounded less like gossip and more like confirmation. But here's where the story twists. Coren isn't just a columnist, he's a card-carrying member of the Soho House set. If you've never heard of it, think of Soho House as the velvet rope inner sanctum of Britain's media and celebrity elite. Private clubs, luxury rooftops, the kind of scene where deals are made over martinis and reputations are whispered into existence. It's not just where stories are told, it's where stories are planted. And guess who else were fixtures in that world? Harry and Meghan. Regulars. Players in the same glamorous circle of influencers, PR fixers, and whisper networks. So when Coren casually tweets about William and Rose, people couldn't help but wonder, was this a genuine slip of the tongue? Or was it something more? A nudge? A planted spark meant to ignite a firestorm? Because in that world, nothing is ever truly casual. Every word, every leak, every slip comes with intent. This is where Meghan Markle's name enters the frame. According to royal commentators Kinsey Schofield and Maureen Callahan, Meghan may not have just been a bystander to the rural rival rumors. She may have been the one who seeded the story in the first place.
That Meghan is the one that instigated this. And I think I've said that, like on Sky News and stuff. I don't think that it's something that I've been fearful of saying. I see the value in it. She didn't like the heat that she was getting, and it was a way for her to distract and to change the conversation, allegedly.
It's also a way, if it's true, for her to really, I'll use Meghan terms, manifest or self-actualize, to hold her space as a true chaos agent, as a merchant of chaos. And it allows her a temporary release of her rage and resentment against William and Catherine for being the alpha royals, for her being stuck with the loser dumb beta.
Think about the timing. Meghan, under relentless fire from the British press, was painted daily as a diva, a disruptor, the royal family's problem child. Every headline made her the villain. And then, almost overnight, bam, a new scandal explodes. Not about Meghan, not about Harry, but about William, about Kate. The golden couple suddenly looked less untouchable, vulnerable, human. Coincidence? Or strategy? The whispers go like this. Meghan was spotted at a Soho House event, chatting with a well-known foodie blogger. Nothing unusual, until that same blogger, after a few too many drinks, fired off cryptic tweets about a royal affair. Tweets that were quickly deleted, followed by a half-hearted attempt at denial. Oh, I was just causing trouble. But the problem with fire is that once the spark catches, it spreads. The rumor didn't just flicker, it ignited. It sprinted across social media, burrowed into gossip blogs, and found fertile ground in tabloids hungry for clicks. And once it stuck, it never really left. Critics argue Meghan knew exactly what she was doing. She'd been in the Hollywood and media machine long enough to understand how gossip works. You don't need to publish the story yourself. You just need to plant it in the right soil and let it grow. One whisper, one accidental tweet, one slip to the right ear. And let's be honest, what better way to redirect the spotlight away from her own controversies than to set fire to William's reputation? Suddenly, Meghan's not the only one under scrutiny. Suddenly, William and Kate aren't the flawless heirs. They're caught in the same messy soap opera as everyone else. For Meghan's critics, this wasn't a coincidence. This was calculated. The art of survival in a palace that had already turned against her. Now, here's where the plot thickens. Because this isn't the only time Meghan has been accused of using leaks to her advantage. Insiders point to a pattern. Stories about Kate being a mean girl. Rumors of tension between the sisters-in-law. Leaks about Meghan's struggles behind palace walls. Time and again, the whispers seem to come from Meghan's orbit, friends in Toronto, allies in Hollywood, PR consultants like Sunshine Sachs. It paints a picture of a woman who understands that control of the narrative is power. And if that meant throwing others under the bus, so be it. Remember Oprah? The CBS connection? Even Stephen Colbert, who name-dropped Rose Hanbury on his show, works under the same network umbrella that has often given Harry and Meghan friendly airtime. Coincidence? Or coordination? 4 royal watchers, the dots begin to connect. Too neatly. Here's the real tragedy. If William even suspected that Meghan had a hand in spreading this rumor, it would suddenly explain everything about the collapse of his relationship with Harry. Think about it. Imagine standing in William's shoes. Your brother's wife, the woman you welcomed into family, allegedly planted whispers that you betrayed your own? That your marriage, the crown jewel of the monarchy, the image of stability after years of scandal, is nothing but a facade? That's not just betrayal. That's war. Because in royal life, your reputation is your currency. The public's trust in your marriage, your loyalty, your family image, that's what holds the entire institution together. Strip that away, and you don't just embarrass a man. You destabilize the monarchy itself. So how could there ever be trust again? How could William look Harry in the eye and believe he wasn't complicit? This wasn't idle gossip. This wasn't another round of tabloid tattle. This was nuclear, and the fallout still smolders to this day. Harry and William's once unshakable bond reduced to ash. Kate's dignity dragged into question, her composure tested in ways few could endure. The monarchy's polished image, scarred with whispers of betrayal, fracture, and fragility. And here's the cruelest irony of all. Meghan has long claimed, loudly, that the press destroyed her life with lies and rumors. That gossip was her prison, her torment. Yet critics argue she's guilty of wielding that same weapon herself. Victim on one hand, manipulator on the other hand. Is that hypocrisy? Or is it survival, using the only tools available in a palace where power has always been about perception? Either way, the damage was done. And some wounds, once cut this deep, never heal. Critics believe jealousy was the driving force. Kate, the elegant, adored future queen. Meghan, the outsider, constantly portrayed as second best. By feeding whispers of William's alleged betrayal, Meghan could chip away at Kate's image. No longer the flawless royal wife, but a humiliated woman trapped in a fragile marriage. It's Shakespearean, a duchess against a future queen. And the battlefield, the front pages. Meanwhile, Harry's troubles in America only magnify the drama. Questions swirl about his immigration paperwork, his admissions of drug use, and whether he received special treatment while staying in the U.S. Documents are being demanded. Pressure is mounting. And suddenly, Harry and Meghan's once glittering American dream looks shaky. Some speculate Meghan's silence on political matters, her refusal to attack Donald Trump in a recent interview, is strategic. She knows that one wrong move could see Harry's visa problem explode. And if that happens, the Sussex empire could crumble. Then there's Meghan's inner circle, the lifestyle coaches, spiritual gurus, and glossy wellness mentors who seem to orbit her like planets around the sun. To her fans, it's empowering. To her critics, it's something else entirely. Listen to the language. It isn't casual, it isn't grounded, it's curated, scripted. A steady drip of buzzwords that sound less like conversation and more like a TED Talk. Manifesting. Self-actualizing. Service is universal. On paper, it's harmless. But repeated, recycled, woven into every interview and podcast, it starts to feel rehearsed. Almost cult-like. A vocabulary designed to elevate, but in the process, detach from reality. It exposes a ruthless side of Meghan that many suspected but few dared to say out loud. And it leaves us with the ultimate royal question. Was Meghan Markle the victim of palace cruelty? Or the master manipulator who nearly brought the monarchy to its knees? One thing's for certain. The chaos isn't over. Not by a long shot.